My name is Jenny Johnson, and my job is to eat. So let me explain. For the past 15 years, it has literally been my job to eat whatever's put in front of me. And it's been a pleasure because I have a voracious appetite. I've eaten some of the most delicious flavor combinations created by some of the most talented chefs in the world. I've also competed in food challenges. There was the 4-pound lobster roll, the hot dog chili challenge. I've crunched on crickets in Thailand. I've taken a bite of every body part of a pig in Puerto Rico. In Nepal, I gulped down what they call milk tea, which tasted as farm fresh as sucking it right from the cow's teat. Now, to some of you, this may seem like a dream job. To others, just a bizarre version of the latest reality TV show. But the point is, for me, when it comes to food, nothing has ever been off the menu. All of that changed a year and a half ago when I gave birth to a baby girl named Vienna. And just like that, everything I thought I knew about the world shifted. As any parent can attest, a new child totally recalibrates your existence, bringing about a whole new perspective. But what I didn't know was for that me and my family, part of that new perspective would have to do with food. So I'm here today to share something that Vienna has taught me. She taught me that food is not just an item on the menu. Rather, it's a critical ingredient in fighting disease and living well. This lesson began when she was about 8 weeks old and showed early signs of eczema. By 4 months, doctors were categorizing it as severe. She was covered in a head-to-toe, painfully red rash that would morph in appearance from day to day and sometimes hour to hour. She would scratch uncontrollably. We had to cover her hands with socks almost 24 hours a day because the scratching would make her bleed, which would open her skin, sending her into an even more aggressive flare. We saw so many practitioners during this time, and we had a closet full of remedies that we would lather her in multiple times a day because the consensus was you would manage the eczema topically, but nothing was working. In addition to physical discomfort, we learned that eczema had limitations when it came to her diet. It's true that children with eczema have a higher likelihood of developing or having food allergies. So we tested her and found that she was likely allergic to dairy, eggs, peanuts, and tree nuts. Now, the irony was not lost on me. Here I was, a professional foodie, a woman who eats everything, with a daughter who was now partially defined by what she couldn't eat. And so on the very day of her 8-month birthday, I witnessed just how painful this irony could be. My husband Rob and I gave Vienna a spoonful of some homemade split pea soup that we were having for dinner. Within minutes, Vienna's eyes sealed shut. Large, white, swollen hives began to pop up all over her body as we frantically undressed her. She began to profusely vomit all over me, all over her. Her skin turned gray. She wasn't able to steady her gaze. She was painfully disoriented. Vienna was in the throes of anaphylaxis. After a sleepless night in the pediatric ICU, she was stabilized. But how was it possible that something as seemingly harmless as a little tiny pea could almost kill my daughter? And so began a journey of understanding a confounding health epidemic. I learned that 1 in 12 children have a true food allergy. 1 in 3 have food sensitivities, 1 in 5 have allergic eczema, and on a broader scale, 54% or 46.2 million children have a diagnosed chronic disease. And these numbers keep rising year after year. But the question is, why? Unfortunately, there's not just one simple answer. But a common way of explaining it, and one that helped me understand it, is that our immune systems are overloaded. They're overloaded with a number of different factors, and these factors include physical, biological, emotional, environmental stressors. And so an overloaded system can see something as benign as a pee as a threat. So the key is to calm inflammation and to balance that system. But how? So this is when I started thinking about food in a completely different way. No, not food as the enemy, rather food as part of the solution. And so I researched and I designed a diet that was deliberate in bolstering Vienna's immune system. A few times a week, Vienna eats chicken liver. It's rich in vitamins, minerals, amino acids, healthy fats. She eats fermented foods, which are high in probiotics, which help diversify the bacteria in your gut and helps absorb nutrients. She drinks bone broth, washing down her fruits and non-starchy vegetables. She drinks cod liver oil, fish eggs, eats bone marrow. Now, this is not the traditional diet of a 1-year-old, or really any of us for that matter. But I will tell you, it played a critical role in strengthening her immune system and clearing her skin. This was a child who was once ravaged by an agonizing rash, who, if you saw today, now has skin, as some may say, as clear as a baby's bottom. Now, it's still very much a journey, but since we've been able to strengthen her immune system, we've also been able to introduce foods that we thought were forever going to be outside her diet, like almonds and hard-boiled eggs. What Vienna's experience taught me is that we are built, equipped with a disease-fighting machine that, when given the right fuel, can be made more powerful. We can heal from within. So some of you may be asking, what does this have to do with you or with me? The truth is, it's undeniable that some of our eating habits as a society are harming us, short-term or long-term. And not to dive too deep into the buzzword abyss, but things like GMOs, hormones, probiotics, artificial flavoring, processed foods are having a detrimental effect on our health. This experience taught me that the Hippocratic Oath should apply to what we eat. First, do no harm. So maybe we start with a simple question. Is this food that I'm about to put into my mouth helping me or harming me? Vienna has completely changed the way that I think about food, and she's certainly changed my menu. Now, I'm certainly open to still crunching on crickets in Thailand and enjoying the delicacies here and throughout the world, but I do so much more thoughtfully. I realized that professionally, I was only telling part of the story when it comes to food, and possibly I was missing the most important part. Every ingredient that we put in our mouths is not just playing a note on our palates. It's directing the symphony of our overall wellness. So for now, Vienna will scrunch her nose, smile, and shake without excitement as I break out the sauerkraut. But it's going to be my job to remind her as she grows the wisdom that she has given me, one bite at a time. Thank you.